Today I'm dealing with a 2002 Nissan Altima. It's got a 2.5 in there. Now I'm gonna let this run for a little bit, see if you can determine what noise this is, where it's coming from, because obviously this issue costs $300 to fix. So from diagnosis that the customer originally had before they brought it to me, since I'm their second opinion here, was the guy stated that there was something in the bell housing there and the transmission that needed to be taken out to remedy this issue. So listen, I'm gonna get my scan tool. We'll look at the current codes, look at the live data, and get to the bottom of this issue. I'm inside the car just because of the sake of the noise. I'm pretty sure it's still radiating through the cabinet here. So here's our code p0420 and p0507. This ISC is basically idle control system. Let's look at the freeze frame data that determine the p0420, if it'll load up. Okay. So we got, hold on one second, I got a customer pickup here. Alright, so we're going to analyze the freeze frame data from the p0420 code. So we can look at the short-term fuel trim on bank 1. We can see that was taken away 0.8%. Nothing bad. We got to calculate load value. And again, this is the snapshot the vehicle took when the code was presenting a consistent problem here. So this basically will tell us a story about, to the best of his ability, about what happened. So we have a small percentage of, see here, 0.8% taken away. That's nothing significant. We have 38% load, so they were obviously under acceleration. Long-term fuel trim is taking away 3% fuel here. So we're going from 100% value, and below that it's just taking away the percentage. So we can look at that as the norm, I guess, 100% being the static ideal condition. That's the starting of axis. So since we're in 38% load, we are around 2,112 RPM. So it seemed like they were accelerating. We have the intake air temperature sensor, 114 degrees, so the car should have been good and warm. Let's see here. I guess this is the batch or bank fuel schedule. I guess this is the milliseconds of the fuel injectors here, 7 milliseconds, and we have 194 degrees temperature, 57 miles per hour here. So they were on the highway or going at highway speeds and under load conditions, which is typically when the monitor of the catalyst will go through its testing phase. So nothing crazy there. What happens when you get a p0420 code is just the downstream sensor is oscillating too much or is too rich. So let's see here. This is current live data right now. We're at 700 RPM. Here's our mass airflow voltage. We're not driving, we're idle. So here's our milliseconds for the fuel injectors. Current temperature is 177 degrees, and alpha, air fuel ratio alpha, bank 1, that should be just short term, is at 95%. Here's our HO2 for bank 1. We're lean, you see that, and HO2 for sensor 2, this also a little lean. But here's our switching, which is going to reflect the readings here of the initial readings. So this is the verbiage of what is seen when the oxygen sensor is switching. So currently, even though we're seeing lean conditions, this probably may be a little bit more rapid in analyzing things than what we're seeing. So we'll look at that. Let's go to the H02. And I'm pretty sure based on what you're seeing here, you can kind of get a determination of what's happening. Let's enhance this. Here's our oscillation for bank 1 sensor 1, since it's a 4-cylinder, so we're looking at the upstream sensor here. Now this is 1 second per division. I'm going to slow this table down to 8 second per division. And currently, you know, everything seems to be switching okay. We're only just seeing, I guess, the ending of what the car is acknowledging. You know, that's why we keep seeing steadily lean conditions. But at the same time, it's leaner more than it is rich. So if you see those high spikes there, and look at these dips here. So these are 8 second per division tables. I wish I could pause this. You can see down here, if it's 8 seconds, I mean, we can assume probably 70% of the time this is lean instead of being rich. So I mean, I'm gonna give you the answer. I'm pretty sure you already know what it is. It's this is going to be a vacuum leak, obviously. So let me cut the car off and finish giving you the rundown. And I'm going to title this "Two Heads Aren't Better Than One." That's what it's titled. So let's take a screenshot of this at the current temperatures. And what we will do once we repair this, we're going to compare the information. So if we zoomed in, took this cover off here, here's going to be our problem. Here's our problem right there. All right, just to finish giving you the story about what happened with this car. It's pretty interesting, man. And I'm always in a denial state about what goes on with other mechanics and vehicles, because I just think I'm the worst mechanic. I'm not that great at what I do, and there's always somebody out there better than me. So there's always room to improvement on my end. So basically what happened, there's a guy that he go to church with, okay, and this is my first time actually working on this customer car. So the guy stated that it's a church guy that he deals with and who's been servicing this vehicle. And what happens, if he can't figure it out, he would drive the car around to a mechanic, and they would both put their two heads together and figure out what's going on with the vehicle. And unfortunately, in this case, the customer stated it was going to cost approximately $300 to get this vehicle fixed, and it was something around the transmission causing this noise. And after starting the car up, I mean, initially I'm like, oh, I know what this is. I'm thinking PCV system. That's what I'm thinking of initially. But I'm like, $300 to fix this? Maybe after fixing everything the guy requests now, it's going to be a $300 bill, because he wants a lot more done to this vehicle than just a simple remedy of this issue. Now, it was here for the check engine light, but being that the check engine light and this noise is correlated with one another, those that air fuel, I got a tow truck coming here. Hold on. Sorry about that. I had to get in a car that's getting towed. It's been sitting here for 4 months. Lady only made partial payments on the vehicle, and after 4 months, it just sat. I'm like, look, either move it or I'm torn it. So, yeah, it's gone now. But I digress. So what happened? The guy would normally drive the car to another mechanic so they can both assess a situation and put both their heads together and see what happens. Obviously, in this case, the guy either was, one, getting screwed over, or two, they legitimately didn't know what they were talking about. Because I mean, there was no direction as far as what happened. Because if somebody say it's something in the bell housing, that something in the bell housing needs to be more specific. You know, it's not gonna. Even then, I mean, there's got to be more of a pinpoint assessment than just something. Because something is everything, and everything doesn't lead to a conclusive analysis of what goes on in the vehicle. So, I hate to say it, man. You know, other people screw other people over. You know, then, you know, things happen. So, but I'm gonna dive right on into this. I'm just simply going to replace this hose, and it looks like just I want to say a 3/8 hose that has like sorry, I'm like pretty sure like just a nice tight 90-degree curve and a couple 45s here. So I'll go to the parts store, find a 3/8 hose that is molded, that'll work with what we got, and we'll just look at pit data, because I don't think this is going to be much of a replacement. So I'm gonna get a little extra space here so we can access this PCV. There's a 10mm bolt here, 10mm bolt here, supporting this wiring harness. I'm just gonna pull that off, and we'll be able to look at the PCV valve a lot better. Not sure what we're witnessing, but can't find my flathead. Got lost in space somewhere. We're out clubbing with the tools. Where's my needle nose? I just had them. So the tow truck driver comes to pick up the car. We jump the car off. I leave, finish working with this. Car wouldn't continue to run, and it dies. Once it dies, he tries to jump it off with his jump box, hooks the battery cables up wrong, now wonders why the car wouldn't start. I'm like, yeah, you blew a fuse, buddy. So we all make mistakes, right? And my shit don't stink. So here, damn. So here's the issue here. Here's our $300 problem. So we're gonna go buy a $5 hose, maybe $10, depending on what kind of hose it is and molded. So it's gonna be a molded hose, and save about $290. So let me go get this. All right, I got the brand new hose here. If we can see down there, I'm not sure we can see, but here's the hose. I'm just gonna cut this to fit, and yeah, here's the part number if that really helps any. 18031. It's not the direct fit hose for this, but I'm just gonna make this work out. So let's get a roundabout idea. Cut it somewhere around here. I don't think it's gonna. Let's see, I think I might have to cut quite a bit off of here. Yeah, I'm about to cut it pretty short. Yeah, it's gonna be a little stub. That ain't gonna cooperate. Screws back in here, and we're gonna test the repair. So we got the repair done. Here's our old hose. The old hose here. Where's that little booger at? Can't find it no more. Here's our little split right there. So I got the car running. It's been sitting for a while. The coolant temperature sensors, everything has reached below the criteria to allow the vehicle to accept a drive cycle monitor. So it should go through its drive cycle. I do have other repairs I gotta take care of. So by this time, the car should have reached normal operating temperature to allow me to go through the catalyst monitor. So I'm not going to shut the car down, because if you shut the car down, kind of SOL. So it does have to go away through a sequential order, typically, because some are just going to sit in a more rapid succession than other monitors. So I'm going to let it run. We're going to monitor pit data once I get the other repair done, and look and compare it to before and after. I'll go through the drive cycle, show that the catalyst has passed, and this will be a good fix. So I'm about to take it on test drive in a little bit. I just want to go over some of the information I'm observing now before we do it. So let's take a snapshot. This one. Now I did take another one early on, which was, let's see, I'm going to have to erase this middle one here so we won't have any confusion. See if I can remember how to do this. Delete. Alright, so here's our current snapshot. Here's our old one. We're just going to compare the information. So now it was idling at 725. Currently it's at 712, so it's just a tad bit lower. Currently our mass airflow voltage is 1.33. Before it was 1.33, so they're the same. I don't have the injector duty cycle. So our initial short-term fuel trim is at -7%, so it's taken away 7 versus 8 from before. Coolant temperature is 188, and we're at the old one was 183. So let's look at the actual readings. And from what I observed, I mean, it was actually switching from rich to lean, so it's actually doing what it's supposed to now in comparison to before. We can see that our oxygen sensor circuit down on bank 2 is actually a lot leaner versus, let's go back to the photo, versus being at 0.3. So that was a slightly richer condition. And at some time it was oscillating up to 0.7 at times too. So it just couldn't regulate those lean conditions because they were very inconsistent. Which is not a big deal now, because I'm pretty sure this will take care of our catalyst code also. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back out so we can look at, I think I got to go to generic feature on this one. Some vehicles I can look at, some vehicles I can actually look at the inspection. There we go. Alright, so we're going to observe the readiness codes and, well, I'm sorry, the readiness monitors, and make sure that it hasn't gone through, or if it has gone through its drive cycle. Even though I know it hasn't done it yet, I'm going to test drive it. So we're going to do before and after, show that it's incomplete, and show the completion that it actually passed with no trouble codes. So the monitors that are currently incomplete, 3. Let's go to incomplete monitor readiness, and that should display our catalyst, which is currently incomplete. So the car has been steadily running. It should have had the proper temperatures. Should have been below 90 degrees, the air intake and the coolant temperature. So it should be fine to go through this drive cycle for the catalyst monitor. I'm simply just going to take it on the highway, coast, for about 10 miles. Typically, it'll set within that time or go through its completion or its readiness. Let's see here. Let's go to vehicle status. I'll just leave it on that, and once it completes, it'll update live. So it'll just drop. Normally, if it dropped to 1, then I'll know, because the evap system's typically the last one. Because strangely, they have to go in like a sequential order. I don't know why they can't do it. It can't go through multiple tests simultaneously. So typically is going to be the evap system that's last. So once I hit 1, I'll update, and we'll see that there's no trouble codes in this catalyst. P0420 code is fixed. All right, got the car back. I've driven 6 miles, 6.6 miles total. And the status, everything actually went through. Being this a 2002, the car's not intelligent. It's going to go through things with a less fine-tooth comb than something a lot newer. So there's no malfunction illuminating light. That's off. There's no fault codes. All the monitors that went through, so that's all complete. And they actually completed everything within 2.7 miles. As soon as I got on the highway, started moving, everything completed. No fault codes. Go to the IM readiness, incomplete monitor readiness. Catalyst has been through its monitor, so we're good. We're good. That vacuum leak obviously was our problem. It's good that they don't have to buy a catalytic converter. Car was real simple to go through its drive cycle. So again, I just start the car up from a cool temperature. If you look at the PID data, make sure it's below 90 degrees typically. Let it run, reach normal operating temperature, and drive it. So don't ever shut it off. So that's how you complete a drive cycle. And I did this all in one go. But like I said, this car is old. But typically, if you was to shut the car off, it needs to sit for several hours or get the coolant temperatures down and air intake temperatures down to go through another drive cycle. So I got this in one and done. So I got lucky. I just hate the fact that, you know, these people got got 2 people to diagnose the car, and it wound up being something that was inaccurate. But, you know, I understand things happen. Like I said, my shit don't stink. I'm not perfect. I screw up, but accuracy is a must for me. And if I don't know it, I have enough personal accountability. I'm like, look, I can't figure this out. It's got to go somewhere else. But it's rare cases now. So I understand things happen. I don't think there's anything else. I mean, this is pretty much was a simple fix. Our vacuum leak caused the problem, and fixing the vacuum leak fixed the issue. The guy doesn't need a catalytic converter. Car should be able to go through inspection with no problem now. So I'm just gonna give his car back when he get paid. just waiting on that. So other than that, hey, this car is fixed, man. Yeah, we'll see if it stands up to test time. If it doesn't, you're not gonna know. Hit that link. Subscribe to the channel. Stay informed. Have that reassurance in my work. See you on the next one.